Today we're going to continue to look at the different types of production during slavery. So the first production that we would have looked at was, which one we look at first? What the first thing that
Sugar.
the enslaved people did? Sugar. Very good. So we look at sugar, and we spent quite a lot of time looking at sugar. And then after sugar, we would have looked at
Sir, logwood and mahogany.
logwood and mahogany.
Logwood and mahogany.
Yes. So we looked at logwood and mahogany. So for today's class, we're going to look at another production, which is coffee, right? So coffee is another production that we're going to look at. Now, over the years, teaching about coffee and the cocoa, what else? Um, the different cotton. Well, everybody know cotton. You know cotton, right?
Yes, sir.
You know cotton good. But you know that some students do not know cocoa and they don't know, they do not know coffee. Who in here don't know cocoa and coffee? Who know cocoa?
Sir, some people know cocoa as cacao.
Repeat.
There are some people know cocoa as cacao.
Oh, well, and who know coffee? Everybody know coffee?
Yes, sir.
You
Yes,
know
sir.
coffee?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anybody have a coffee tree at home? Yanni, go ahead for me.
No, sir, I was saying that I know coffee.
You know coffee. Yeah, anybody has ever seen a coffee tree before?
No, sir.
Yes,
Nobody
sir.
has,
Yes, sir.
yes. All right, so some people have seen a coffee tree, some people has never seen a coffee tree. Yes, that is true. And you see, coffee is one of the major production in Jamaica. In fact, coffee is one of Jamaican coffee is one of the world's best coffee, ranked the world's best coffee. Is it Blue Mountain Blue Mountain Coffee? I think that's the coffee that is ranked in the world, and it's very, very expensive. Very, very expensive. Now, I'm going to show you some pictures of coffee. And then we're going to look at the production of coffee. How the enslaved people would have produced coffee. All right. So let us go into, so just because I don't have a PowerPoint and I don't know if I'll ever, well, we pray that we'll find the flash drive. So for now, please take some notes, ladies. So take out your notebooks. If you don't have your notebooks, get your notebooks because we have to take some notes because you're not going to have a PowerPoint for now until God show it up. All right. All right. So if you live in the mountainside, anybody live close to Blue Mountain, Garden Town area in Jamaica? Blue Mountain Garden Town, nobody? All right. All right, so on your screen is the coffee, right? So all of these little plants here are basically, this is a coffee field. What you observe about the coffee field? What are some of the things you observe about the coffee field?
Sir,
Yes.
it's planted on a hilly terrain.
So it's on a hilly terrain, very good. Slanted on a hilly terrain, very good. Yes, a little slope. Yes. What else you see growing? I see a little tree right here. And you see some trees here in the middle. What are these trees? We can guess them, man. These are in Kingston. I live in Kingston and there's a lot in my backyard. Yes, Davis, banana. So you find that banana trees are planted here. They are planted in between the coffee, the different coffee plants. And this tree right here looks like an orange tree. Right here, it looks like an orange tree. So the coffee is planted on a hilly terrain and different crops are planted in between the coffee. So you can see one here and another here. All right. Same thing. This is another coffee field in Jamaica on the Blue Mountains, and beautiful landscape, I must say. Beautiful landscape. And you can also see the coffee being planted on the hilly terrain. Same thing here. This is coffee being planted here also. But if you notice that you have different trees in between the different coffee. And then as I tell you that Jamaican coffee is one of the world's famous coffee, right? And so people use coffee for tea. Tea is one thing that they use coffee for. And you use coffee not only for tea, but you also use coffee as to bake. So in pastry, people also use coffee. So Europeans are going to be quite interested in the production of coffee because you not only want your bush tea and you add your sugar to it, because remember that they would have used sugar and sugar was used as a form of preservative, but you're also going to want to add different flavor to your tea. And one of that is coffee, and they also use it in their pastry. Now, these are the beans, coffee beans, and before it gets to this stage, I think most of the coffee that we purchase in the supermarket, does it look like this, the coffee?
No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
No, it doesn't. The bean, so the coffee that we have, or what our parents purchase, is a powdery looking one, right? Correct?
Yes, sir.
So what they're going to do is that they're going to grind these beans and they're going to turn it into powder. And so you just add a little stuff to it in the morning. Now, this is how it actually looks before the coffee turns to this and before it is grind. So look like little cherries. Yes, it look like cherries. You know those are, you know, agplum? Is agplum then call it? that little plum that is so expensive. When I was going to school, they used to sell it at the school gate. That little plum, the seed is this thick on the inside. Is there another name for it, or what you call it? Yes, yes, Daniel, there's a plum that they used to sell at the school gate. And sometimes if you pass at Devanos, you'll see them selling the plums. They are not very popular. Well, they are popular, but they are not in great abundance, and they are very, very expensive. This is the coffee on the tree. So this is the coffee, and what we call these are coffee berries, right? So these are the coffee berries on the tree. So that's how it looks. This is when it is green, the coffee berries. This is when some green and some ripe. And this is also how they would have planted this. Now, somebody who is a geography student, what do you call this type of farming? Notice the landscape. What we call it? Any geography student here?
Sir, terracing.
Terracing, very good, very good. So terracing, so most of the places, if not all the places where coffee is grown, it is grown on a hillside, and it is terracing farming. So it's like a little, they create like little steps, like zigzag steps, and then they plant the different coffee trees in it. Why do you think that they are going to do that? Why you believe they plant it like this in a terraced way? Why?
To avoid soil erosion.
To avoid soil erosion. Very good, very good. You are correct. So terrace farming is used to avoid soil erosion. Now, ladies, when it comes to, where it is here. There are some countries in the Caribbean that during slavery, coffee was also done in addition to sugar. And these territories are Jamaica. So they had, so we're going to look territories. You can put in your notebooks. Territories are colonies where coffee was grown. Territories are colonies where coffee was grown. And coffee was grown in Jamaica. So not all the enslaved people in the Caribbean, are not all the enslaved people in Jamaica worked on sugar plantation. It was the largest one, yes. It was the largest production in Jamaica, but coffee was also done. So some enslaved persons worked in the coffee industry, while others worked on sugar, and there are other things that they're going to work on as we get along. Some were involved in the logwood sector. So Jamaica was one territory that logwood was not, that coffee was produced. Another territory is Dominica. So Jamaica, Dominica.
So that's for logwood?
No, for
That's for
coffee. Yes.
Okay.
So I'm telling you the territories that coffee was produced. So the first territory, Jamaica, then Dominica, not the Dominican Republic, two different places, Grenada, Jamaica, Dominica, Grenada, and St. Lucia. So those are 4 territories in which coffee was grown, right? Now, in Grenada, Grenada was very, very popular with the production of coffee. It was the French who would have introduced coffee in the Caribbean, the French. And so the French introduced coffee in the Caribbean, and in Grenada, the French controlled Grenada for a period of time, just like how the Spanish would have controlled Jamaica for a period of time. So the French controlled Grenada for a period of time, and then the British came and they took over from the French. So during the time of the French, they would have introduced the production of coffee in Grenada, and then once the British took over, not only Grenada alone, but also St. Lucia and Dominica. And once the British took over those territories, they are going to continue to produce coffee, and they are going to extend it to other colonies like Jamaica, other British colonies. Is it clear, ladies?
Sir, could you go over that one more time, please?
So the French, they were the first to introduce coffee in the Caribbean. The French were the first to introduce coffee in the Caribbean. And 2, the French originally controlled Grenada, Dominica, and St. Lucia, where they established coffee estates. So they would have established coffee estates in these territories. Then after a period of time, the British took over these territories. After a period of time, the British took over these territories and continue to grow coffee. They also expanded coffee production. They also expanded coffee production to the island of Jamaica. Clear, ladies?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right, good. So what they're going to do during the coffee production. So you can put a next subheading, which is enslaved labor, enslaved. Remember, it's not enslaves, enslaved, the labor and coffee production. Enslaved labor and coffee production. So the first thing that the enslaved people they are going to do is that before you have all of these coffee trees planted like this, it would look very foresty. It would be a forest area on a hillside because coffee is not grown on flat land. And maybe that's one of the reasons why we don't see coffee around this side of in Kingston or in St. Catherine, where you have some flat lands, right? Maybe right in the hills of St. Catherine, but not on the flatlands. So coffee is not grown on the flatland, and that's one of the reasons why coffee is not grown in Barbados at the time, because Barbados is pretty much a very flat territory. And so the first thing that you're going to do, so you're going to put one, the very first thing that you're going to do, the very first thing the enslaved people are going to do is that they are going to clear the land. You must clear the land before you do any form of farming. You clear the land. And if you're planting on the hillside, you're going to have a lot of what? What are you going to have a lot of?
Trees.
A lot of trees. So you have to do what? In clearing the land, you have to?
Cut them and
You
burn
have
them.
to cut the trees. Yes, very good. So the first point, you clear the land by cutting down the trees. And after you cut down the trees, what you do? What the indigenous people practice a lot in their agriculture?
Slash and burn method.
The slash and burn method. So what they're going to do is that they're going to cut the trees and that they're going to burn the different cuttings. They're going to use the slash and burn method. So after you do that, what do you think the next step is going to be? Look at this. What the next step is going to be? You just go and plant the coffee trees like that?
So digging up the soil, tilling. I don't know. I don't remember the word.
Yeah, you can dig up the soil, but before you dig up the soil, you just go and just dig up the soil. Just so. What are you going to do?
So they have to remove the things that they burnt.
No, because by the time they burn it, everything going to turn ash. So the ash is going to be quite good. Look at this. Look at how it is done here. Before you start to dig, you have to do something.
Sir, the terrace the land.
Repeat.
The terrace the land.
Yes, so they are going to terrace the land. So the next step is that they're going to terrace the land to prevent
Soil
Soil
erosion.
to prevent soil erosion. Very good. And in terracing the land, you're going to do what? You're going to mark the fields in even rows because there's a lot of rows here. Anywhere you go and you see the coffee production growing on the hillside, they're in rows. So you have to mark the fields in even rows. So these are the different rows. Now, after that, now you're going to dig the ground, and you're going to dig. So your next step is that you're going to dig and you're going to plant the coffee seeds or seedlings. It's not a seed, it's seedlings. So the seedlings are like little, what we call a colloquial term, baby trees. You know those little trees that they sell by the forest department? Little trees, seedlings. So the next step is to plant the coffee seedlings. And you're going to plant cash crops in between the seedlings. They're going to plant cash crops in between the seedlings. What are some of the cash crops that you're going to plant?
Sir, cash crops?
Yes. What are some of the things they're going to plant? What are some of the cash crops? Somebody would have mentioned one earlier.
Banana.
They're going to plant banana in between. They're going to plant things like cassava, yam. You look at your tomato trees,
Sir, potato.
your potato in between, yes. And why you think that they're planting some of these in between? Same reason why they are terracing the land.
To prevent soil erosion.
To prevent soil erosion. Now, for every season, every single season, ladies, every season, you're going to have not only the trees being grown here, but after a period of time, you're going to start to see the berries on the tree. So the next step is what we call the reaping time, where we are going to reap the berries after they are.
Excuse me, sir.
Go ahead.
Sir, I got bumped out of the meeting after you said they terrace the land to prevent soil erosion. So, sir, what is the third process?
Somebody remind her of the third process for me. You're brown, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, what was the next process?
Digging the soil.
Continue.
Plant the coffee seedlings. And then planting the cash crops in between.
And give her some examples of cash crops that they're going to plant.
Sir, I have banana, potato, and tomato.
All right, good. So you're
Yes.
going to plant those cash crops in between.
Banana and what?
Potato and tomato.
And all
They're
you can
apples, but
also
those are the
put
ones I.
cassava
Okay.
in between. So after that now, the next step is the reaping time. And reaping time is usually, the reaping time is usually the end of August to the beginning of September. So reaping time is between the end of August to the beginning of September. That's when they are going to start to pick the coffee berries. So they are going to start to pick the coffee berries, and the enslaved worked from morning until evening. They worked from morning until evening. So these are the ripe berries that they're going to pick. This is Grenada. So this is the ripe berries. So they are picking the ripe berries. So everyone, all the enslaved would get not a bucket, but they would have a little sack, bag, that like a little, what they call that bag? That crocus bag like looking. And they're going to pick the berries and put the berries in it. So you pick the berries. After you pick the berries, the next step is to remove the skin from the berries. So all of this ripe part of it, you're going to remove the skin, because what you're interested in is the bean. So you're going to remove the skin of the berries. And once you are finished removing the skin, and you remove the skin through a pulping mill or pumming mill. So you remove the skin of the berries through a pulping, P-U-L-P-I-N-G mill, or pumping mill, P-U-M-P-I-N-G.
Sir, you said pulping or pumping?
Yes, mill. So after you remove the skin from the berries, your next step, so the next step after you remove the skin, is to wash the berries. It's no longer berries, it's now beans, right? Or this, yes, it's beans, because you remove, it's still a berry, but, all right, so you wash the berries in a cistern, what some people today call a sink, like an outdoor sink, a cistern, which is CISTERN, CISTERN. So after you wash the berries in the cistern, you're going to put it on a platform. You're going to put the berries on a platform in the sun to dry. You're going to put the berries on a platform in the sun to dry. Then after that, the next step is that the old, sick, enslaved people, old and sick enslaved people, along with the children, they are going to pick out the berries. They're going to pick out the bad or the spoiled berries. So the sick, old, and children, you're going to go to the platform now and you're going to pick out the bad or the spoiled berries. So it is spoiled is SPOILT, the spoiled. All the ones that is bad, the bad berries, that's not good. You're going to pick it out. They are going to throw them away. Now, once it is dry, it is going to look like this. And you realize that not all of them look the same, right? Maybe this one is a spoiled one right here. This and this and this. The other ones look a little nice. So after that now, you're going to pack the berries in boxes. Not the berries, you're going to pack the beans, the good ones, the beans, the coffee beans, because by this time, it's no longer a berry, it is now called a bean, a coffee bean, right? So they're going to pack the coffee beans and take it to the port. And take it to the port.
Take it to where?
The port, P-O-R-T.
Oh, thank you.
The port. And once it's at the port, where it's going?
On the
England.
ships.
The ship.
It's going to England, but not only England. If the French were the first people to plant the coffee, where else it's going?
France.
France, yes. So it's going to Europe. All over Europe, they are shipping coffee beans too. Now, your next subtopic, the difficulties planters experience in the production and marketing of coffee. So just like sugar, they are going to face difficulties.
Excuse me, sir, can you repeat the subheading, please?
The difficulties planters experienced in the marketing and production of coffee One of the very first difficulty is that coffee trees are prone to diseases. So coffee trees are prone to diseases, and this affects its quality. Coffee trees are prone to diseases, and this affects its quality. So the quality of the coffee is, I know plants have diseases also, correct, biology students?
Yes, sir.
Yes, so they're going to have their little diseases also, which is going to affect the quality of the, so that is one of the major issues. Another one is that they're going to face stiff competition between the islands. So Jamaica, Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia, they have competition. And if you're facing competition, it will force you to do what?
Reduce the prices.
Very good. So competition at that. So competition will force you to reduce the prices. And if you're reducing the price, what is going to happen? You could
Lose money.
lose money. Yes, a profit. You lose your profit. Good. Another point, another difficulty is that there was a glut on the market. Glut, meaning sometimes you had a lot on the market, lot of coffee. And it would cause some of the very same thing. You have to reduce the price. Another difficulty is the sabotage by enslaved people. The sabotage by enslaved people. Sabotage is S-A-B-O-T-A-G-E. Sabotage, S-A-B-O-T-A-G-E. So the enslaved people is going to sometimes sabotage. So when you put the coffee to dry, sometimes they throw water in it to spoil the coffee beans. When you package your coffee to go to travel, you pour some water in it. So it is not dry, so it will pick up some mold and you have to throw it away. Yes, our ancestors were very wise people. They didn't just stay in slavery and smile. They fought back against the system of enslavement. And this was one way. You think you're going to make a lot of money from this coffee after you enslaved me for such a long time? I don't have my freedom. I'm going to spoil the coffee. Another difficulty is natural disasters such as hurricane. And if you notice that coffees were planted, or still is, planted on the hillside, and if you have a hurricane, it will destroy the coffee trees. If you are shipping the coffee beans, if there's a hurricane, the coffee beans could get wet. On the ship. If there's and so these were some of the difficulties that they would have faced. So when we meet on Monday, we're going to look at cotton. I'm going to see if we can look at cotton on Monday and cocoa. And then on Wednesday, we're going to look at contributions of Africans because we have to finish Caribbean economy and slavery. So what do you think about today's method? Do you prefer this over the PowerPoint?
No, sir.
Sir, I
No.
do.
Who
Sir,
prefers over?
sir, I don't mind it either way.
James.
Oh, James, which one you prefer, James?
This one, sir.
Okay.
Sir, can you please repeat what you said after natural disasters?
The natural disaster, what I said with that one, that during the natural disasters, the trees, because you're planted on the hillside or the mountainside, they are going to be destroyed. And if you're shipping the coffee, and if hurricane is at sea, then the coffee beans could get wet. The coffee beans could get wet. All right, ladies. So enjoy the rest of the day, ladies. Please ensure that you read over your notes. And when we meet again, we will continue to look at cotton production.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye, sir.
Bye-bye.